And hello, welcome everybody to the Great Metal Podcast, episode 81. And we are here. Let's see, it's January 22 of 2023. Oh, it's a lot of 20s, man. Holy crap.
It's going to be a very metal year. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was reflecting on metal the other day, and, 2022. Oh, yes. 2022 had some great releases. And I think part of it was like the whole pandemic thing. Like everybody, like people took one of two routes. Some of the metal artists were like, I'm going to take a vacation because I've been touring for like 20 years straight. And then other people were like, dude, I'm stuck in my house. And so I'm going to make some new metal. And so we got some really good stuff the last couple of years. But I think 23 could top them all. I mean, we got Insomnium coming out with their new album this year. I mean, a lot of good stuff coming out. So, but anyway, I thought
Metallica's coming out this year. I don't know if that's like April. I don't think Dave Mustaine's gonna make it this year because he did one last year.
He did it last year. Yeah.
Sorry.
So Dave. and speaking of Dave, so the Grammys are coming up. The regular crappy ones. But also ours.
Oh.
Yeah. So February 5th is the Grammys. But and unfortunately, Pete and I are traveling for the next couple of weeks. So we probably won't be able to do our Grammy show before the actual Grammys.
We can do it on Valentine's Day since metal is all about love anyways.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. Really, so we need you guys' nominations like we have the last 2 years. Send us your nominations.
So how does it work? We just say what are the best songs of 2022, basically? Is that what we Yep. So email us at Great Metal Podcast, drop us a line and be like, this is my favorite pick of 2022, best song.
Yep. And remember, it has to have been released in the calendar year of 2022.
Yes.
And if you want to make recommendations on categories, we can do that too. I think our first
that's a great
Grammy
idea.
one, we had like categories, and so
should we do like styles, thrash, different genres,
maybe by genre and this kind of stuff. We'll come up with some broad categories.
Also, let's do something like the worst release.
Yeah, we had worst song by a great band. That was a category.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's
best
right.
Headbanging
song by a worst band, maybe too.
There's best headbanging song, best music video, song with the best lyrics, album you never get tired of listening to, album with no throwaway songs.
That's impossible.
The most wannabe metal band, the most experimental band, and the most underrated band. Those were our and the heaviest
underrated. I love that category. That's the
most
best.
Underrated. Yeah,
most
that's
underrated.
The thing.
Everybody has one of those.
Well, metal in general is so underrated that like the entire genre could be fit into that one.
It had great categories.
Good categories, but we can have new ones this year. Send us your recommendations.
Send us your suggestions or just topics for episodes too. We just want to hear from you guys. Drop us a line. Great Metal Podcast at Gmail.
Totally. So we'll those polls and stuff, as we get your recommendations, we'll narrow it down a little bit, put together some polls, and you guys can vote on it. It's always a good time. Be
some Britney Spears and Chris and maybe some Cardi B on my list. DJ Khaled.
Oh yeah.
Bieber. I'm trying to think of my favorite modern artists. Those are a few. I'd have to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, Katy Perry and Pink.
Is she still doing her thing though?
I have no idea.
I think Lady Gaga is still active, and I can't even really hate on her. Sometimes I go goo for Gaga. She's got some actual decent songs. I put her in a separate category from like Britney Spears. That's not fair.
Yeah. Well, and so. So that the actual the Grammy, the Academy of Recording Musicians Grammys, is their metal. I just pulled it up. Their metal nominees this year.
Oh boy.
Okay, here we go. So we got Ghost, Call Me Little Sunshine. Okay, now we did a poll on this. Is Ghost metal? And you guys said no.
Debatable.
So,
but it was close, wasn't it?
It was close.
Like, Ghost of a chance, kind of. Yeah, it was close.
Yeah. And then we've got Ozzy Osbourne, Degradation Rules. And then I've never heard of this band, Turnstile. Never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
And then here's where it gets good. We got Megadeth on there. The song Be Back. But then we've got...
That was a good song.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it clearly should be the winner out of all these. The fifth one here is
Turnstile,
a total...
though. Turnstile.
Well, true.
We don't know that band, so there's a good chance they're a good metal band.
No
one's heard of them.
Pete's getting the benefit of the doubt.
It's true. But and then the fifth nominee is Muse for the song "Kill or Be Killed." Now,
so
I don't know
really metal. That's kind of for debate.
I don't know how you consider them metal, but I don't. So their new album, which I have listened to, they have some like heavy riffs on there. But
They're a cool band for sure, and they do have classical music in. Like, it's classically inspired sometimes. You can hear like some Chopin and stuff. Yeah. But they're not super heavy, I wouldn't say. They do have distorted guitars.
They do. Yeah. And they do have an intensity. They like to sing about like the apocalypse and shit. So there is like an intensity behind Muse. They're actually really good at building tension in their music. So
they're great songwriters. We'll give them
I like
that.
Muse. I'm not sure.
Metal though? Man, I don't know. Maybe it's time for us to do another episode on that topic because we are the official arbiters. We decide who's metal and who's not. Let's be honest.
It's true. It is true. So anyway, so that's the Grammy Awards coming up. I'm not going to be watching that one, but I am going to be watching ours. Yeah. I'm going to watch ours, and then I'm going to watch it while we do it, and then I'm going to record. I'm going to watch it again after we're done. Yeah. Because I got to know who wins. And so anyway, but so it was like 2022, a really, really good year for metal music. And now here we are, 2023, and already this is January. We're in the third week of January, and we've already had some bangers come out. So we wanted to take this episode, look at top 10 metal releases of this month, the first month of the year. And honestly, this might be the weakest month. Looking at the release schedule, there are some really, really good shit coming out this year. January might be the weakest, and it's still got some really good stuff.
Where are you looking at the release schedule? Where is that to be found?
So let's see. Not Metal Blade.
See. One of the metal outlets,
Blabbermouth has the release schedule. Louder has a release schedule. Sometimes they're different. Like some will have some that the others doesn't have.
What Metallica is doing right now is really smart. Like announce it 6 months ahead of time and then just release a single every month on the way up to it. And then you maybe have like half the record that people haven't heard by the time you actually release the record. And then boom, right. Yeah. Because you can't just be like, hey, we got a record coming out 6.9 months from now. Stay tuned. And then just everything just hush. No. You got to have the marketing all the way up to it,
You want people talking about you the whole year.
Exactly. Yeah. And it only like Metallica's last release, right? It only lasts like 48, 72 hours. And then all the momentum like goes off a cliff and everybody's kind of quiet again. That goes for any trend. So you have to continually like stoke the fire. So who's who do we got first, Luke, on this list? I'm curious who's coming up.
Okay. Well, and these aren't necessarily in any particular order. It's not really like let's count down 10 is the worst and 1 is the best. But I did kind of organize them in like, kind of like how I would enjoy listening to them. So let's start off with the first one. So we've got Catatonia. Now Catatonia has been a total hit or miss band for me. And I would say, this is the only song off of their new album that I've listened to.
Where are these guys from, Luke? This is European metal, right? Where's Catatonia?
Catatonia is maybe Germany.
Okay.
This is a great question. I should have.
You have a clip, so we'll know what the style is anyway, because I don't think a lot of people know Catatonia.
Sweden. Catatonia is from Sweden.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know, like some of their stuff has been really good. Some of it I'm like, I could do without that. This album I don't know, but I this is the only song I've listened to. So let's check out Opaline by Catatonia.
Love me not, I was never one to pass the test. No, all for the best. You're heading east. If you go now, I go west. I see the last day turning straight into emptiness. How did it get so late?
Oh,
Okay.
the obligatory tour video, Life on the Road.
Is it as glamorous as they say, Shred?
It is not glamorous. I mean, you can see right there. Man, touring sucks. Let me be real with you guys. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here.
But you get to see the world.
But it's good to see that, you know, bands are, people love going to shows. It's fun. It's exciting. They just don't get paid much anymore, which kind of sucks. But at least, you know, we got some people still willing to carry, you know, the mantle there and get the people pumped.
Yeah.
Got to keep that energy up.
Catatonia. I mean, this is a decent song. There's some like weird, I don't know if they're jazz chords in there or something.
Those were spicy. We call those spicy chords.
Spicy chords. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there was some
that's
serious
fun.
spice there.
You know, there's definitely a lot of melodicism, if that's a word. So yeah,
I just don't think I'm that familiar with that band. I feel like I've maybe heard a good song from them, but I can't think of what it is. Do they have what's their following?
They've been around a long time.
Yeah, it seems like they have.
Like late 80s, early 90s, maybe.
What? Whoa. Dude, there are some bands like that surprise me. Machine Head has been around since the early 90s.
Yeah.
And Machine Head, you guys listen to Machine Head? Like I've just been turned on to this band recently.
Just a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Anyway, like they're so much smaller than you would think for having been grinding for 40 years.
Yeah.
Almost half a century of grinding. Touring is just, you have to do more than that. You have to do more than tour, boys. That's the straight reality podcast. You have to podcast too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Secret.
Get in on that. Devin, get your live streaming going again. Devin Town.
Devin does podcasting. He kind of does it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does.
Who's next on our list? Can anybody beat Catatonia?
Who can beat Catatonia? Okay, so next up, let's get a little heavier. We're gonna go Obituary. Now for the death metal guys
are really heavy, right?
Yeah. These guys can get pretty heavy. So here is their new one. This is called My Will to Live.
Get ready. Get ready. Whoa, that was super hardcore and old school. It sounds like like early 90s production.
Yeah, you have the buzzsaw guitar sound there.
I thought it was going to be like a positive message, my will to live, but then actually, no, not at all.
No, bury me in the sand.
Bury me in the sand was a good
At least you could understand what they were saying. I like the idea of having a lyric video with a death metal band because then you can actually decipher the lyrics.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you don't know what they're saying.
Well,
and so the vocals are hard.
These guys keep it pretty straightforward. I mean, this is not like technical death metal, right? It's a pretty straightforward riff, but it's heavy. I really, really like that like building growl at the beginning where he's just like, and just builds with this death growl. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Cannibal Corpse, some of their slower stuff, just the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
Especially the production. Like the guitars just sound, like Cannibal Corpse. Whatever. It's a super like sludgy, oversaturated tone. I mean, it's just so much
Right.
distortion. That is 666 volume distortion. Everything you got.
Yeah. So and they're just like, well, I guess it's debated or something, but just like Cannibal Corpse, like their Obituary's death metal, and they formed in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, this is so interesting, right? All death metal is Florida based. It's like, what's the deal with that? The band Death, Chuck Schuldiner, who started death metal, arguably, Florida. For some reason, Florida is the place. Is it the Gators? You're constantly fleeing for your life?
Probably.
Down there?
Oh,
is that what it is?
That's it. I never thought about that. That's probably
the sound of the swamp.
Yeah, I know they have like iguanas and a lot of dangerous wildlife. But if you're from Florida, start a death metal band because it's just on your side there for some reason.
Yeah. And so right, because like so thrash started in like San Francisco, right? The Bay Area. And then I guess. But death metal kind of started in the
it's regional, I mean there's just certain vibes going on. Black metal, Norway, the environments that you're in. I don't unless it is the Gators, I don't understand like all the sunshine and the like Miami, it's like party, the beach, everything's good.
Right.
Cannibal Corpse come out of there. I don't get it.
I don't know, but so their new album just came out last week. It's called Dying of Everything, which maybe that's a reference to like the pandemic. I don't know, but Dying of Everything.
I mean, Obituary, the name itself of the band is related to death. So that's like a general theme, I think, with the band. So
yes.
Can anybody beat Obituary though? It's going to be tough.
I think so. So, okay, now we got to get to this new one. Now, Shred actually knew the history behind this one. I did not. So Steve Vai has a new album just released, and it's called Vai/Gash, Gash. I just assumed this was a new album that Steve put out. But so what's the story behind this, Shred?
Apparently Steve Vai was like a motorcycle enthusiast. Like I didn't even know this. And I'm a big Steve Vai fan. I'm like, wait a minute, Steve, you've been hiding, your cycle love all these years. I don't know what the deal is with that, but because it's like, Zakk Wylde kind of has like that biker image and stuff, but Steve Vai, you would never put as like a biker. He just doesn't look like it. But apparently, what's his name? Gash. So he was like
Gash. Yeah.
Gash was his biking buddy, and they would like jam, and they actually recorded music together. And I don't know, he died back in like the early mid 90s, something like that, a long time ago. And Vai just never released it until now. So
wow,
posthumous release.
30.
I'm kind of curious, to be honest, like what this is going to be like, because Steve is always about like the instrumental shred stuff. So
yes,
what we're getting into
Steve
here
has developed so much over time, and if this is early,
that's
90s,
so true.
Yeah.
Did you guys see his Hydra song where he's playing like a triple neck guitar that also has a harp on it and like a keyboard and a bunch of other stuff? It's it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. He's literally just going back and forth between all three of these necks and then playing harp. And
look the picture.
He's going crazy.
It's insane looking.
Yeah.
Hydra.
Yeah. The Hydra.
You have to look that up. Yeah.
Which the Hydra was what?
So
a three-headed dragon.
Yeah. Right.
And so, maybe that's
does that come from Greek? Where's that from, Luke?
It's Greek or Roman. I'm assuming Greek
or Roman. But if you have a picture of it, throw it up. It's wild. And then I think he was doing it like blindfolded.
Yep, he's blindfolded in this picture I found. It's like
when I was listening to it on the record, I had no idea. I thought he was playing just a bunch of different instruments, but as it turns out, he's just playing this one instrument, but all the parts on it.
It looks like a dragon too.
So you see like the transistor tubes on the top, and then there's all like these buttons and knobs that actually do things. And then the harp you see the harp It's kind of running vertically down, but you just have to look for those tiny strings.
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
left-hand
yeah.
side.
Yeah,
it's
I
hard
see
to
it.
see.
Wow.
But then there's the bass, and it's fretless on the top, and then a 7-string guitar in the middle, and then a 12-string guitar on top. But then, it's fretless on the upper part of it.
It's a wild.
So
it's so bizarre.
Apparently, the Hydra. It's Greek mythology.
Okay.
And it I guess the number of heads varies according to the account, but it traditionally has 9 heads. It's a gigantic water snake, and it has 9 heads. So Steve needs a few more heads on that guitar.
Steve, we're gonna need to up the heads here. But this, I don't know if he plays the Hydra on this song. I doubt it. Well, he wouldn't have had the Hydra, but Steve actually had this instrument commissioned. He had it made for him.
Nobody makes
obviously
instruments like
that.
You can't just, they're not selling this at Guitar Center, but to be able to make like an actual piece of music that really sounds good was shocking to me.
It'd be if they made it, if they sold it at Guitar Center, they'd be like, "Oh, we got to get Steve Vai because he's the only guy that can play this, the only guy that can buy this guitar."
Yeah.
So we got to get him to come in here and buy it. Yeah, it'd be
no, I wouldn't know. With that thing.
Let's check out this song. So this song is called "She Saved My Life Tonight." So let's here we go.
What do you do when you're far away? And the weight of the world you just can't take. But if you stand up tall, you just might see that fearless love is what sets you
wow.
I mean, the dude could actually sing. That's a very different style. I mean, it sounded like Steve once he started solo, but the rest of it didn't really sound like something Steve would do.
Yeah.
No.
But, I mean, you can't be afraid though to try things. Like most of us just never even get in the ring. And start fighting.
Oh yeah.
Like you gotta actually just put some stuff out and see what happens. And it's content. It keeps people interested. You have to always be releasing stuff. You can't just in today's environment, right? You can't go away, for the majority of the year and then just pop up randomly, right? I mean, you got to be putting stuff out.
Well, this is a little, and Vi has always, for as experimental as he is, he's always had like that blues background. Like a lot of his stuff is heavily influenced by blues, and which I mean, people say like all metal is, right? But you don't hear blues. You don't get the blues on the front of the tongue when you're listening to like death metal. You definitely get the blues on the front of the tongue when you're listening to that track, right?
Yeah. I don't know how bluesy.
Rock.
Yeah, that was more like I was almost getting like White Snake pop vibes.
Yes,
80s rock.
80s metal, which is very, to me, that sounds very, this is like, who was the guy? Not Kenny Wayne Shepherd. The other guy had 3 names. He played solo guitar a lot. Oh,
Michelangelo Badio.
No.
In the 90s or the 80s?
Yeah, he was around in the 80s and the 90s. He's probably still around. This is gonna drive me crazy. Anyway, but it was like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, and then there was this guy that was like
in that group.
It was like very like blues rock.
Paul Gilbert.
Shown.
No.
These are all 2 names.
I know.
Michael Lee Firkins. I'm pretty sure it's not that.
It wasn't Michael Lee Firkins. No,
that's a real guy.
Yeah, if you said it, you'd be like, oh shit, of course. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But so like this is I liked, what was it, Surfing with the Alien or Alien Love Surfing or whatever it was. Anyway,
Surfing with the Alien was Joe Satriani. Alien Love Secrets is Steve Vai. They both talk about aliens.
Yeah, so I don't know, some of his more experimental stuff
aliens.
I'm more into I'm not
Joe Satriani or Steve Vai?
Steve Vai. Like, I'm not super into this right here. Now he might like it. He also might have like a total reason for writing in this style. Like, hey, maybe this is what his buddy was into, right? So he's paying
100%. Like, this isn't gonna appeal to Steve Vai fans. I mean, it's just that thing about experimenting as an artist. Not everybody's gonna like what you do. I like the weird Steve Vai stuff, like his Fire Garden Suite. To me, like, Steve has a way more broad palette than just blues. A lot of guitar players get stuck there, because classic rock and Chuck Berry, kind of started that stuff, and it even goes beyond that. But then you never really, like, Kirk Hammett of Metallica gets criticized a lot for just knowing the pentatonic scale, right? Well, the pentatonic and the blues scale are basically the same thing. So Steve, like, really transcended that. Man, did he go way beyond that? And for most people, that's too far, right? It's like, whoa, Steve, back it up.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
That's who I was thinking of earlier.
Well, he's a straight up blues guy. I mean, SRV. Yeah. Died in a helicopter crash. R.I.P.
When he was 27?
No, he was 36.
Oh,
or maybe 35. Yeah, mid 30s ish.
So young, man.
Yeah. But the blues, you can't escape it. It's like, I know what you mean, though. It kind of gets boring sometimes. That's why I think we like the classical music and the 20th century stuff, because then you get a different tonal palette, right? That sort of makes you feel different emotions. Like the harmonic minor scale makes me, I don't know. There's some sensuality in there, that you don't get, in the blues.
Yeah. Here's what's funny. It's not so much that the blues to me is boring. It's that I don't like the way it sounds. And I think part of that is because like as much as people like talk about having the blues, it's like the blues style. I got the blues right now. It is the least sad sounding, whatever you want to call it, musical structure. It's not sad at all. Not sad at all. I don't know. So to me, it's just
the blues uses 3 major chords as its formula, so it isn't a minor based format. So
maybe that's it. I need more minor in my life.
It's funny. It's really it's interesting because when you listen to guys, the OG, blues guys, the lyrics are like really blue and dark and depressing. I got a hellhound on my trail, Robert Johnson, but the actual music is in a major key. Now they sometimes use like minor chords, but not very often. But that's a whole style where it's like the music is happy, but the lyrics are sad. I don't know there must be a name for that, because that's a film trope too. That you'll see. But that is an interesting point. So who's next on our list then?
Okay, we're going to get to a good one.
Blue, I wonder.
I think so. This is a good one. I have not been listening to these guys for very long, but so this is a German. I don't know. They're death metal. They have some like black metal influences. They also have some like folk metal type influences. Ice Reagan. So this translates as Ice Rain. Ice Reagan. And so German metal band, they just released an album. Let's check it out and see if you guys like this. This is called Herbstlicher.
Dich zu mir nach Haus geholt und bette dich zur Ruhe, vergifte deinen Schlummertraum, schau dir beim Sterben zu. Denn wenn du lebst, dann bleibst du niemals hier. Nur wenn du tot bist, gehörst du gänzlich mir. Nur du ganz allein. Nur du wirst für immer bei mir sein.
Oh no! Don't drink out of that pond. Gross.
Oh, she did it.
It was
That's
very clear
disgusting.
pond water, but we don't know what
don't
might
drink
have been
pond water. That reminded me of Rammstein a little bit, just with the guy's vocal delivery. He was rolling his tongue like Till does. Till is so good at that. I wish he would give us a tongue rolling lesson.
Yeah, well, these guys, I'm definitely some similar vibe, much less industrial than Rammstein.
Oh yeah.
But had some keyboard elements though. I think
keyboard elements, sure.
Things.
But it was like, these guys are more of like, you hear like the violin and stuff like that, and it's more of like this almost towards like folk metal, not quite, but
more orchestral instruments there.
These guys have some really good stuff, and one of the best is so I read an article about these guys not too long ago, and because they came up because I was looking at like people getting blocked and banned and all this kind of stuff. And these guys, I can't remember exactly what the story is, but it's something about like their music is banned in Germany, or it's like they can't sell their music to minors in Germany or something.
Well, their video, if you're going to be drinking pond water, I mean, what are we telling the kids? What are we telling the children?
The problem there.
Don't drink pond water.
Yeah, don't drink the pond water.
Slurping it up like WAP juice. Disgusting.
Oh, everything about what you just said is disgusting. Yes.
So anyway, Friday the 13th feel, the villain guy.
That's true. The mask.
Yeah.
Oh, with the knife. You mean like Jason Voorhees?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
so
Michael
Ice
Myers
Reagan
too. Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody has ever heard these guys or listens to these guys, let us know. I'm curious as to what people think about that one. Okay, moving on. So this next one, a lot of people might know it's a super group. So this is the band Riverside. These guys, I bought their debut album when it came out, like, I don't know, 15 years ago or 20 years ago or something. And, so hit or miss to me. They're like a progressive metal type band, maybe like Dream Theater Light. If, I hate to say that because I'm sure Riverside, they're all like listening to us right now.
Yeah.
This is what they do on their Sunday afternoon.
You got to give them hard criticism.
This is tough love.
So things. What I'm saying is like they've had that tendency that their first album, which it might have just been called Riverside. I'm not sure. Like there were times where I'm getting bored, but I've heard some of their other stuff since then. And I've been like, okay, this is really good. So this is the only song off this album I've heard so far, but I've got high hopes for this album. So anyway, this song is called Post Truth.
Ooh.
Crowd psychology went well. I relieved all my frustration, contributed to destroying probably another innocent soul.
That's weird. 7. That's in 7, 8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Good catch.
Weird,
man.
Weird sound. That's a weird sound. Yeah. I don't know if I would be rushing to the store to buy 69 copies of that, but
they get into some like electronic stuff, and they're a fairly experiment. I think they're from
where were they from
Poland?
Again? That sounds German again. It sounds like sounds.
Well, it'd be Polish.
Polish.
Two different countries.
Yeah,
but they share a border.
I guess just European in general there. It had kind of like similar vibes almost with the vocals.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this album because that had a lot more. My problem with their debut album, which again was a long time ago, 15 years ago or something. The problem was their songs were very static. Like we talk a lot about like dynamics, rising and falling. And I remember a lot of their stuff, I think it was called like, I can't remember. Anyway, it was just, you'd just be very static. This track to me appears to have a little bit more movement. And so I'm excited.
It's the same thing. I realize it's like the same thing as a movie. You have to have plot points, right, in a film, and things have to happen. Like the action adventure genre sells the best in film. And if you think about when you write a song, you have to have things happen in the same way, or else people's attention fades. Like, what's happening? Is there a change here? Is there a modulation? Are we going from, great verse to a chorus? You always have to be pushing the energy forward somehow.
Yes.
Movement especially now when people's attention spans, are 6.9 seconds, you really have to make sure that you're always introducing something fresh and new that drives things forward. Man, it's tough. It's hard to write like that.
No, it is tough. And that's a lot of criticism I hear of like doom metal, or particularly like funeral doom, is they're like, what are you talking about? There's no dynamics to that. It's just like pure sludge that holds you down. That's part of the dynamic, is it's holding you down into the depths of despair while you're trying to get out and you can't. So there's that inherent tension, right? It's a fantastic. It's a fight for your life every time you turn on doom metal.
Luke, funeral doom metal should hire you as like their marketer. They probably get more sales because
I'm going to sell it here in a few minutes because I've got one on this list.
Oh yeah.
So but anyway, let's get to this next one, because this next one, okay, so the band is And Oceans. So it's ellipsis ... and Oceans. Finnish metal band. These guys' story is really bizarre. Like they started, I think it was in the mid 90s, under the name And Oceans. And then they were like, black death metal. And then they changed their sound and they started going much more like electronic industrial metal. Then they started changing their sound so much that they actually changed their name. So they stopped going by And Oceans and started going by something else. I can't remember what it was.
That's hard when you change the name and then people are like, wait a minute. Like people suggest that for Metallica. Metallica's a different band now. They should change the name. I'm like, you need to stop suggesting things because you clearly just can't think.
Well, you
can't just completely change your name and expect people to follow you. I mean,
so this came up, I don't know, several months ago on the show. And I don't remember what band we were talking about. Maybe it was Metallica, but I don't think it was. And it was like, look, if you're going to change your sound so radically, you aren't the same band and you're going to piss off your current followers, right? It was when we were talking about bands selling out.
Yeah, I remember.
And not everybody hears that you're changing your name. I mean, it's a search term. Like on the internet, we use search terms, right? I mean, it's like you can't just change the name and expect people to find you.
I guess is the point. At
exactly.
What point are you not what that name represented, right? So someone looking for name X would be like,
not going to find it.
This doesn't sound like this at all. And so they shouldn't find it, because if it's still named the same thing when they find it, they're going to be like, well, this is not what I was looking for.
Right. Yeah. Well, now to your point in terms of like leveraging brand, because if you change your name, you essentially are starting over. So I mean, Stephen King did this, right? He's like, hey, how much do my books sell because of my name and how much because they're good? So he started writing these books under the pseudonym Richard Bachman, and he got almost no sales. And then when everybody found out that it was Stephen King, the sales on those books skyrocketed, right? So you are giving up your brand. You're starting over, starting from scratch by changing your name.
Well, people think that, art is just valuable in and of itself. And if it's good, people will find their way to it, which could not be further from the truth. You have to develop a business and a brand. You have to get out there, and that takes years to do. And of course you have to be good too, right? But people just don't know you exist if you change your name or something. That's a great example.
Well,
Richard Bachman, Stephen King, all of a sudden the sales drop.
Wasn't that kind of part of the concept with the Beatles, the White Album, right? Weren't they like, we're gonna do?
I don't know. Was it? What did they do? Did they change their name?
No, they didn't change their name, but they made it a all white album. Like I think it said the Beatles on it somewhere, but it was not like highlighted in any way.
Oh, right? They didn't want to like advertise their brand.
Yeah, to see how.
That's
is the music.
I wouldn't recommend that for most bands. I mean, the Beatles are literally the best-selling band of all time.
Yeah,
it was Michael Jackson.
No, it's the Beatles. Oh. Well, at least in maybe that's a different category. I don't know. I should look that up. But I mean, the Beatles. I think it's the Beatles. They have over 1 billion like single sales. It's obscene.
They've also been around for 150,000 years.
Well, I mean, no, they actually only had a short career span. It was only from the early 60s to the late 60s.
Right, but it was a long time ago. So they've had all that extra time to sell albums, right?
Well, I mean, if you're not active, though, as most bands die, there's definitely some kind of magical sauce, between those 4 guys that, no one really knows exactly what that is. But for most people, don't change your name and expect people to follow you.
Here's where I'm going to disagree in terms of, if I'm trying to hit the black metal market, I'm going to write black metal music and I'm going to market it to the black metal demographic.
Oh yeah.
Now all of a sudden I want to switch up and get Justin Bieber fans. If I'm known as a black metal artist, I will never get Justin Bieber fans. So now I have to change. I don't want people. I have to rebuild a brand for a different demographic, right? And I think that's what And Oceans was. I don't know, but my guess is that's what they were trying to do. They're like, we're a totally different band. We want to appeal to different people. We don't want them to associate us with And Oceans.
Oh,
so they changed. But here's the craziest part. So they changed their name and released like 2 albums. Then they did it again. They changed it again to another band and changed up their name.
Oceans.
Then hold on. It gets even better. Then in 2020, they're like, hey, we want to go back to And Oceans and start making death metal. So they're back to And Oceans now.
Cringe. That's level 420 cringe.
Dude, it's so crazy.
It's painful watching bands try to figure, business out sometimes. It's very painful.
Well, the Finns, I mean, they have the highest percentage of metal bands per population. Finland does. And maybe, so
like in Finland, it's like if you put beer in the window of a bar, it doesn't matter what it's called. People are like, oh yeah, it's a bar, I'm gonna go there. So maybe in Finland, if you just put metal on the album somewhere, people don't care what it's called.
Yeah, in Finland, the highest per capita metal ratio. That you know what maybe the answer is to do personal branding instead of like band branding, because now each individual can have an account, on Instagram or something, and then people can follow you as an individual, and don't change your individual name, but the projects you're involved in, can have different names. That maybe makes more sense, because that's sort of the way we roll now. It's like, you're dealing with this group and then you're dealing with another group, but like the individuals are all consistent.
He does a bunch of
Marty
project
Friedman
things, but it's like, okay,
Devin Townsend.
Marty.
You follow Marty around, right? Because of his name. Marty's really interesting too, because he got all the notoriety with Megadeth, and then people followed him, to his more obscure projects, which don't sell anywhere close. Megadeth has almost 40 million albums sold, which is a lot. But Marty's solo projects and stuff he's doing in Japan, he's turning Japanese over there. Like, he's not, making huge sales anymore. But still, that brand awareness, man, that's so important.
It's Marty Friedman.
Yeah. It's MF. He's an MF-er.
All right. Well, let's check out And Oceans. So let's see. Okay. So this song's called Within Fire and Crystal. Here we go. Instant buy.
Pretty good.
Instant
pretty good.
I felt the guy.
Did you buy it
at the start though? It was a bit intense.
Yeah, at the beginning it was way harder to get into, right? They're doing some very dissonant black metal things.
Yeah.
And then the second part just really opened up and became a lot more approachable with the strings, and then it went into like a easier groove.
Yeah.
I loved it all. Now here's the other thing, and we should do an entire episode on this. I would have bought that. So back in the day, before the internet, you couldn't sample stuff. So I did these hope buys. I would look at album covers, and I would buy things based on what looked cool. But also the names. So the album name is As in Gardens, So in Tombs. Whoa. That is such a cool name. Like back in the day, I would have bought that album based upon the name of that album alone. And that so, but we
a long name for an album.
Yeah. But As in Garden. So it's like gardens where like things grow and bloom. Also in tombs where things like die and rot. The dichotomy is brilliant. I love it.
It makes you think of images, it conjures up thoughts in your mind, gets you excited. That's what we had to go off of, guys, back in 666 BC when we were born.
You had to imagine your own music videos.
Yeah.
Right. No metal bands were doing music videos back in the day, let me tell you. Holy moly. Anyway.
Dude, like Metallica had to be convinced. They didn't want to do it. Like their first video, they're like, no, we're not going to do it. This is stupid. Lars was like, we just need to tour. And so they finally got convinced by the label to do one. One was their first video.
And was it all just tour footage?
So, apropos.
Was it all what footage?
Tour footage? That's what most 80s videos were.
No, it was, they went to like San Diego or something and just filmed the band rocking out. And then they had, I think they might have had footage from Johnny Get Your Gun in there too. Which is an old 70s movie. But no, they have done the tour footage thing. Yes, that's maybe the easiest thing to do, huh? Just slap
that's what most bands. Yeah, back in the day, that was it. And apparently some bands still doing it now.
Well, maybe a lot of people want to see that, right? It's like people have this idea of touring being this very glamorous thing. If you are, like an 80s butt rock glamorous band, I consider that would be fun. But
you can also just slap up your static JPEG of your cover. So do
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. I got a few more to hit, and we're running out of time. So we got to get to this one. Sabaton.
Oh, yeah.
Sabaton. Who wants to march into war?
Heavy hitter.
Because they got another one, and it's
metal.
The album is called Heroes of the Great War, which the Great War was, World War I. And so here we go.
This band knows what they're all about. Like they get it.
Oh yeah.
And war and Sabaton are the same thing. Like they understand that.
Yeah. So here's their new one. This song is called The First Soldier.
For the war, he wanted more and ran away from home. The war to end all war should call his name. Outcast and unlikely soldier, learning worth his uniform, emerging as a devil dressed in blue. Being the lone survivor at the trenches in Alsace, one man holds the line. From the south to the front to the battlefield, from a farm to a hero of France, serves country courageous and fearless as he holds the Kaiser's advance. From the south to the front into no man's land, from a farm to the end of the road, son of France is the first on the front line, coming home, and his story being known.
Wow, man,
it's so good. It's so epic.
Dramatic, man. They really dramatize war, don't they?
They really do. Oh man, Sabaton, you just can't go wrong with these guys. I mean, you have to be into this. If you're into this, they're the best at it.
They need to be doing like theater and Broadway. That's what they need to be doing. That could be a whole new market, perhaps. If you're listening.
Well, and of course, speaking of, epic, we did have a power metal band release an album this month, Twilight Force. These guys, great.
Where do you find these bands, Luke? I don't even know.
You've never heard of Twilight Force? Oh,
you heard of Twilight Force, Pete?
No, I can't.
I've never heard of Twilight Force.
We've had them on the show. No, we haven't had them on the show, but like we've played songs of theirs on the show before. It was during our power metal genre one we did. But anyway,
how do you know when they're coming out with a new album? Like, is this blabbermouth stuff? I mean, I don't even get where you would hear about this.
Well, I mean, I follow a lot of these bands on like
social media.
On social media, and so I mean, when they're coming out with something, it comes out. But I also follow a lot of just like news in general, and so they're always talking about the latest release or whatever. But Twilight Force,
Metal Evangelist Shred. That's kind of.
I guess I'm underestimating. I just don't even. I don't get it.
He's got to know.
I'm a noob.
I'm just I love metal, and I love like all this like new stuff. It was hard back in the day, but I mean, there's so much out there now, and like discovering new stuff. It's
you can
great.
Satiate all your desires.
Yeah. Hard for a different reason now. Hard to keep
up. I don't know. Twilight Force, they've been around a while, at least 10 years. But anyway, but they're from Sweden. So a lot of power metal is from like Germany, Italy, these guys are from the Nordic country of Sweden. So let's check out not Riverside. Twilight
power
Force.
Metal would be illegal in Sweden.
Yeah. Well, apparently not. So this song is called At the Heart of Winter Vale.
Ooh.
Frozen so long ago, deep down below. Silent for cover now. His name was lost in time. Tales of another cast, over the dragon by your might. Only way to set him free. Speak his name. Trapped for eternity.
Were they just like miming distorted electric guitars with these medieval instruments? Were those even in the song?
Hand drum, like the guy's hitting the hand drum. That's clearly like a drum kit going.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like double bass on his maranga thing. Yeah, I don't know. What are those? Are those balalaka? I don't even know what those are.
Lutes,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
I'm
they don't sound like
that's
in the song, but.
Yeah, quite certain those are not the actual instruments they're playing. I could be wrong.
This always is a fun like theme though. It's like you're in the castle, medieval times. Yeah. That's so metal.
Oh yeah.
And there's a party and everybody's getting down, and the minstrels are jamming in the courtyard or whatever. Yeah, that's a super fun.
The big power vocals that just get you going. Oh yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I don't care. I don't care who you think has a great vocal range in pop music. Nobody can touch the power metal singers. You just can't even touch these motherfuckers. Because they can go so low. This guy, I don't know.
What about Mariah Carey though?
I don't think so. No. I think these guys could keep up with Mariah Carey, no problem.
Octave range.
Yeah.
Quite extensive.
No, it's just unbelievable.
It's
I
tough,
have
man,
such
because
mad respect for these guys.
These guys are so good, right? But I wish I had more direct data on this. But when you start, the opera, it's kind of like the operatic influence.
Yeah,
that's hard for people. But
they're dudes. They're dudes singing like soprano level highs. Like if it were a female singing operatic vocals, I'm like, oh yeah, totally, right? I get that. Simone Simmons, totally.
But I wonder who could go higher. Like, because I think a lot of these guys pretty much have the same range as the girls, except they can go lower, for sure. But I think they can pretty much do the same high notes, which is just insane. But people, it's hard for people to listen to that in general.
Is it? Power metal?
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, think about opera. You know?
Well, but opera doesn't have double bass drums and distorted guitars to offset the high true.
That's is that true. A pro or a con for the average consumer? I mean, I don't know. But maybe if they were actually playing on those instruments, that could be interesting. I kind of want to know what that sounds like, actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Minstrel metal, Triple M.
Evil minstrel metal. Oh, anyway, it's so good. Twilight Force, so good. Okay, let's go 180 degrees in the other direction. Here is my funeral doom metal pick. So this is the band Ahab. And this song is called Colossus of the Liquid Graves, which is, again, metal.
Colossus of the what graves? Liquid?
Liquid. Yeah, because it like underwater, like liquid graves.
We're getting back to Hydra here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Colossus.
So anyway,
liquid.
Yeah. A Colossus. Well, I think the Colossus is like the beast in the liquid grave. Yeah, like Kraken or something.
But we were literally wasn't the Hydra also a beast? A 9-headed water dragon? Yeah. Okay.
You're right.
This is bringing it all together.
Okay. So here's Ahab, Colossus of the Liquid Graves.
Whoa! Look, that was the most
can't get enough of it
stuff I've ever heard from you.
Dude,
it's like death metal doom though. Like that's the most death metal doom I've ever heard, and it had like a really weird shift. All of a sudden, it got more harmonious and stuff. Right for a minute there.
It's true.
And then back to the dungeon.
Yeah. No, a lot of funeral doom does not have clean vocals. These guys do on occasion, and it's maybe a little bit faster than some of the other funeral doom I listen to. Which
is that a nice clip, nice and brisk.
Yeah. I don't know what that was at. That was probably at like what 90 beats a minute, 100 beats a minute,
69,
70,
definitely.
Oh, you think it was that slow?
Oh, it's definitely slower than 90.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have no concept of that kind of stuff. But anyway,
like 45, but
yeah, you listen to some like Doom VS or even like Virgin Black. They're literally playing so slow you can't tap along with it. It's
extremely slow.
Yeah.
It's extremely slow.
So Ahab, again, I don't know if anybody listens to Ahab.
I want to say I've heard that name before. I mean, I know Captain Ahab from Moby Dick.
That's what they're named after. They named themselves after Captain Ahab,
and they had nice underwater claymation.
White whale.
Yeah,
I didn't see the white whale, but
no, I don't know if all of their stuff is like nautical themed, but some of it
themed
for sure.
Metal.
The Coral Tombs. I mean,
so the name of their album is The Coral Tombs. So this is. Actually, I'm not even sure this one is out yet. I think this one might come
monthly
out this
Spotify listeners they have.
Oh man, that's a good. I'm actually going to look that up.
But it's not going to be a big number. But
I'm going to look it up while we're playing this next one. Okay, so the last one, symphonic metal, Beyond the Black. If you're fans of Xandria or Delane, which both Xandria and Delane have albums coming out this year, but Beyond the Black, same genre. This is really fun stuff. So here is Beyond the Black. This song is called Free Me.
Walked into the silence where my hope has lost its voice. I have one thing left to ask for. Grant me this, my final choice. Free me, my love. I want you to free me, my love. I want you to.
Luke, that should have been the first song we played. You
What?
saved
Why?
that for the very end. Well, that was like very commercial, you know.
It was very commercial. I wanted to start and end with Ahab, but I was like, Shred won't appreciate that. I did look it up.
End with Ahab. Luke's
I
like
did just
fully on board with Ahab. At this
every other one would be like, are we just going through the whole album here? It's
Yeah. So I
that,
did just
that had like a great visual element. Oh, were you going to tell us this monthly listeners?
Yeah, so Ahab on Spotify, 33,000. That's actually quite a bit more than I would have thought. And it does appear that all of their stuff is ocean themed. So yeah, they're really into Captain Ahab and Moby Dick.
It's a good story. You know, the white whale, and he's trying to destroy you, but Ahab's like totally trying to destroy him, you know.
Well, it's about destroying yourself based on your obsessions. I mean, like there's so much like metaphor and depth to Melville's work. Yeah.
But this song, I mean, was the one we just listened to. That was almost like some Nightwish stuff, you know. Had all those really commercial elements. What were they called?
Beyond the Black is the name of the album or the band.
I've never heard of them. But their vocalist had that kind of star power, like Simone Simmons sort of vibes, and then she had the good voice. That register for female vocalists works really well.
Yes,
just like that. Yeah, that band. Like if I was signing bands, they'd probably be the only one that I would sign. I mean, not that Ahab is, you know, not to crap on Ahab, but yeah, they're going to have a harder time selling records for sure. I'd make more money on Beyond the Black.
Just out of curiosity, so Beyond the Black on Spotify, 335,000 monthly listeners. So they have literally 10 times the amount of listeners as Ahab.
That's not surprising.
That's not surprising. It somewhat frustrates me, but not really. I think they're all good. And I understand that Funeral Doom is an acquired taste. Not everybody's going to be into
Funeral Doom is, I don't know. Oh, man, that is hard to get people into it. That's hard.
Yeah, that's a hard
Luke, I've tried for years. Millennia, it feels like. It feels like I've tried for millennia, try to get people into just metal. That's like the most extreme kind of metal. You know? So
I don't know if it's
orders of magnitude harder.
Funeral Doom tugs at your heartstrings. I feel like everyone can relate to it.
That's what you'd have to. That'd be the marketing pitch. If you could somehow like get people to tap into that deep emotion,
tugs at your cold dead heart.
Yeah,
that's right. No, it is true. Like, man, you're having a bad day. I mean, who can relate? The guys that write Funeral Doom, and so it's like you just. Yeah, they're there. They're there for you, man.
They're waiting.
Oh, man. Okay, so
cold, watery depths.
So I would say January of 23, we are off to a strong start with metal being released. We have some really good stuff coming up later this year. Maybe we'll even do this like maybe I don't know. Maybe every month, maybe every quarter, we'll be like, hey, here's the new stuff coming out because there's some really, really good stuff.
If you can, like, there's so much crap that comes out, you know, and if you can kind of filter that out for people and be like, here's the cream of the crop, here's the best stuff, That's new. That's actually a great service.
That's true.
One guy I listened to on YouTube, channel's name is like Adventures of TNT. And he introduces me to the most interesting metal that I just wouldn't know about otherwise. And if you try to find it yourself, what you're going to find is that you're just wading through a swamp of crap. You know, it's like 99% crap. And that it's really hard to find like that diamond in the rough. There really is just not that much great music out there.
Dude, I listen to a lot of shit before I find stuff where I'm like, oh, this is really good. People need to hear this. Yeah. So David, hey, welcome, David. Coming in at the last minute. You're coming in at 11:59 here with the comment. But yes, just the name Funeral Doom is a tough sell. That is so true. Like people hear that term, Funeral Doom. Like who wants to go on that journey?
Like most people don't get turned on by that.
No. I mean, maybe you should change it to like something like emotional metal or
right.
There has to be a better marketing sell there, right? When you go and watch a movie, you're looking for like, what are you looking for? Like an escape, you know, to be entertained, happy times. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
The people that seek out like depressing stuff is always going to be smaller, but I'm just saying like there has to be a way to market ourselves better as metal musicians, because I think there's more market share than we're actually taking advantage of out there.
100%. Yep.
So let's stop like shooting ourselves in the foot. Not that the title, Funeral Doom is necessarily doing that, but just being more thoughtful overall, right? If like, how can I actually try to appeal to people instead of like, oh, that's bad to even want to appeal to people.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we don't that's black metal, right?
That's black metal.
We don't want anybody to listen to our music. Well,
don't
that's
listen
weird.
to our music. If you listen to our music, we hate you.
Don't listen to our music.
Stop
That's not the way to sell albums for sure.
It's not a strong line.
It doesn't work.
No, but okay. So guys, that was Jamie. Let us know what you're listening to. I'm sure there's a ton more metal. I listened to a bunch of other metal that came out this month. A lot of it I was not, really into. This was like my picks. So, but I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I didn't even hear. So let us know 2023. What are you looking forward to this year?
Great Metal Podcast.
What have you been picking up?
Yeah, email us.
Greatmetalpodcast at gmail.com. Instagram, you can hit us up on there. And of course, comment below the video. Super exciting. And so within the next couple weeks, we're going to get all of your feedback on metal Grammy nominees and categories. And so in then a few weeks, we'll have that episode. It's going to be a big shebang. I might even light off a firework or two. We'll see.
Some metal awards.
Yeah. Award. Guys, thanks for joining. It's been super fun. And remember that the world ends with you, so make it metal.